as an economist, I would like to look from my perspective. So the last one of the last conclusions from Raul's presentation was that networks existed a long time ago, but we didn't look at them as a science. Now we look in scientific ways, and then we will have new tools. I mean, the mathematics, see what he contributes, and many interesting tools we could apply. So from economic point of view, the networks are quite important because they bring the new perspective on efficient allocation of resources, which is the main topic for economics. And then over decades we discussed, the two opposite models, regulations and the government versus self-regulations by the market. And then, as we know from experience, neither of these models work well. And then the current crisis is an example of the failure. And I think that when we were working on the designing the new institutions and then analyzing the reasons of the failure in Central Eastern Europe, late 80s and beginning of 90s, we decided that we need to go beyond this dichotomy, regulations and self-regulations, government versus market. We need to put networks as an important element of the coordination of economic activities. So this is something what is critical because, I mean, if you show pretty well, that the whole natural world, is organized by that type of network, from the cells to the brain, and to the technical system. So in economics, we discovered that the countries which have industrial clusters, they became quite important in the economic theory in the last 20 years. And they moved from the point of view of economists that just the industrial agglomeration helps to build efficiency. It was a long, 19th century, Marshall said, that industrial agglomeration produced higher efficiency. But until we introduce the clusters, with that type of non-hierarchical structure and links, communication links, then we discovered it's not just the proximity of industrial enterprises. It's much more than that. The way how they communicate. And then we discovered also, and this is something what I would like you to add to your scheme, Raul. This is not just the business organization. Economic activities are expanded over government sector and non-governmental, non-profit sector. I mean, we have not only material goods, but also we have public goods, which mostly produced by the government. And then we have the social goods, social capital produced mostly by NGOs. And also, if you look, from the statistical point of view, United States, the non-profit sector contributes almost 20% to GDP. We don't like or not, GDP as indicator, but this is important activity. The government contributes, to the employment, to the services, next 30%. So, 20 something. So, these are the important factors, And then industrial clusters in this network, we have interaction, they complement each other. What is interesting, that there are many definitions of industrial cluster, but I think that the agglomeration issue grow up to the clusters, thanks to contribution of Krugman or particularly Porter, and I presented here the definition of the clusters, not only geographical concentration, but interconnectivity of the companies, not only supply chain, but also related industry and associations of enterprises and universities and governmental agencies, professional organizations. What I learned recently, I went through a series of the conference this fall, and this is one of the reasons that I submitted quite late. My abstract was then from San Sebastian, the Competitiveness Institute conference through Romania, and now yesterday in Tacoma, I learned that the successful economies, either in Europe or in the United States or in North America, based on the networks coming from clusters. And the more they contribute into communication, the stronger links among those actors, participants of the cluster, the more efficient they are. Basque countries, an example, they escaped from the crisis, late 80s, shifting from industrial policy to cluster-based policies. And then through the dialogue, through building the links between business and government and professional organization and academia, developing new elements which those clusters needed. So they invested in the network. And what I am listening, there and, in Europe and here in North America, that network required constant investment in keeping that dialogue. The good, efficient clusters are meeting, every month. They have dialogue live, face-to-face, or through the network. So there is an important element of making network efficient and influencing the impact of that particular cluster. So if we look, when I'm doing research on competitiveness and clustering, so when I look, for the reasons making them efficient, I would like to apply these quantitative methods and measure, intensity of the dialogue within the network. And this is very critical, I believe, to build the trust, which is and understanding. And they are making many compromises, revealing their strategies, for instance. They compete but collaborate. These are the interesting relations which are going on within this network. So anyway, I hope that by participating in this project, I will learn more, and then I could contribute more. So I think that the internal communication within the cluster, within the network, is very critical to sustainability. And then, this is why we see, many problems in developing countries which would like to build, the successful network. Many countries, including China, invested a lot to build the Silicon Valley, that type of sophisticated network of high-tech companies. They failed because there was not enough free information exchanges, dialogue, and so on. I think that this theory, the science of network, could help us in making economy more efficient, less vulnerable to the crisis, and will relieve us from dichotomy, regulations versus free market. Because this is the role of the networks, in improving the coordination. So this is my take, and then I hope I didn't extend my time limit. I didn't check time. So I would be delighted to respond to any questions. Thank you.